motivate you a bit more than most, like any other champ?
I'm motivated, I'm self-motivated, and I for sure want to crack at that belt. I for sure want to crack at that 70-pound belt to go for the Triple Crown.
And what a fight that would be, you and Islam. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it, after all these years?
Good scrap. Southpaw. It was a good performance out of him, and fair play to him. He had the courage to do it, to go up. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. Let's see what happens. Let's get back in the mix.
Conor McGregor just declared war on Islam Makhachev, and the lightweight division is about to explode. But here's what nobody's telling you. This isn't just about another comeback fight. This is about McGregor chasing something that could cement his legacy forever, while the entire division crumbles around a controversy that's got every top contender losing their minds.
Fights again?
McGregor? No, I don't think. Too much drunk, too much marijuana.
What if he came to Dagestan and you trained him? Could you get him right?
Who?
McGregor.
That guy's not stepping foot in Dagestan.
Yeah.
He's not going
Not
there.
allowed.
Could you guys fix him?
No.
Too far, too gone?
He's never gonna come to Dagestan, and we're not.
Let me break down what's really happening here. McGregor isn't just looking for any fight. He's specifically targeting Islam Makhachev for the lightweight belt, and he's calling it his path to the Triple Crown. Think about the psychology here. This is the same guy who got absolutely dominated by Khabib, and now he wants to face Khabib's protege, the man who inherited everything from the Dagestani legend. McGregor knows exactly what he's doing. He's not just trying to win a belt, he's trying to rewrite history. He wants to prove that what happened with Khabib was a fluke, that he can conquer the Dagestani wrestling style that's haunted him for years. And here's the kicker. Islam has made it crystal clear that he hates McGregor just as much as Khabib did. The reigning champion recently went on record saying the Irishman isn't welcome in Dagestan, period. He's questioning whether McGregor will even return to fighting at all, basically calling him washed up and irrelevant. This isn't just professional rivalry anymore. This is deeply personal hatred that goes back to everything that happened between McGregor and Khabib.
And show and fight anyone in the world. That fight's not happening. Kamaru Usman is irrelevant. He's had one win since 2021. He's the last one down the list who deserves a title shot. The fact that we're even mentioning his name amongst this title contention is bollocks. He's nowhere near the top. He had one win over a guy who's had nearly double digits lost in the UFC and Joaquin Buckley.
But while McGregor's making headlines with his callouts, the real chaos is happening with who actually deserves the next title shot. And this is where it gets absolutely wild. Ian Gary just went nuclear on the idea of Kamaru Usman getting a crack at Islam, calling it absolute garbage, and pointing out that Usman has exactly one win since 2021. One win. Yet somehow the UFC is seriously considering giving him a title shot. Gary's not wrong to be frustrated. He fought 3 times last year, stepped up on short notice multiple times, and beat top contenders while Usman has been sitting on the sidelines. But here's what's really happening behind the scenes. Follow the money and the connections. Usman shares the same manager as current welterweight champion Belal Muhammad, and these management relationships carry serious weight in the UFC. It's not about who deserves it, it's about who has the right people whispering in the right ears.
Right now, for me, I would say Prates. I still think maybe another fight to really kind of, I feel like he's done so much in such a short time. There wasn't enough to let that ripple effect really touch the masses all over the world. But I would say Carlos Prates right now. I like everything I'm seeing from him. His willingness, his excitement to go out there and compete and fight. Even if he loses, it's like, okay, I have to fix that and I'll come back. Like, that's what I love to see. And I think that's what Dana and the company and Hunter and these guys love, is these guys like that. So I love Prates. Morales too is also impressive. You know, no hate on these guys. I love what these guys are doing.
Now get this, Kamaru Usman himself thinks Colby Covington deserves the title shot over everyone else. Usman's praising Covington's willingness to fight anyone, anytime, and his ability to bounce back quickly after losses. He's calling Covington the kind of fighter the UFC loves to reward. Someone who's always ready, always active, always willing to take risks. But there's something fascinating about this endorsement. Usman knows he's being considered for the shot himself, yet he's publicly backing someone else. This could be strategic positioning. By appearing selfless and supportive of other contenders. He's actually making himself look more deserving by comparison. It's a chess move disguised as sportsmanship. Meanwhile, Covington himself is in an awkward position because he actually considers Usman the welterweight GOAT, but he's also saying Usman shouldn't get the lightweight shot. Even with all that respect, Covington admits he'd be disappointed if Usman jumped the line, because he feels like he's earned his opportunity through recent performances.
I don't know. Kamaru won the fight for the belt, you know. Also, Kamaru and Makhachev, they have the same manager. So let's see how it's gonna work. But also, he's number 9 on the rank. But also, he's the GOAT of the welterweight division. So
Nah, come on. Wait, first of all, he ain't no go to the world. What, have you heard of a guy named George St. Pierre?
I know that guy, but I prefer Kamaru.
Nah, come on, Carlo. I like Kamaru gets the title shot against Islam next.
Of course, no. I would be sad because I won the title shot against.
Yeah. Do you think he is deserving, though? As you say, he's the GOAT. In your opinion, do you think he is deserving?
No, I don't think he's deserved. But also, like I said, he's the GOAT. For me, he's the GOAT.
Here's where the insider information gets really juicy. Ali Abdelaziz, one of the most powerful managers in MMA, just revealed that the UFC actually approached Islam about headlining their debut event on Paramount in January. They specifically mentioned both Usman and Ian Gary as potential opponents for that massive platform debut. Islam considered it, but ultimately decided against such a quick turnaround. Think about what this tells us. The UFC is absolutely willing to fast-track certain fighters based on star power and business considerations, not just rankings. They wanted the biggest possible fight for their Paramount launch, and they were ready to bend the usual contender progression to make it happen. This confirms what many suspected. The UFC's matchmaking is driven by television deals and platform debuts, not purely by who's earned what in the octagon.
Great quote. This is a great quote here. What the fuck has Ian Gary done the last couple of years? Kamaru Usman is a legend. He was offered Shavkat last November. Who ended up fighting Shavkat last December?
Ian Gary.
Kamaru accepted the fight. Okay, we'll see. Kamaru Usman is one of the biggest names in the division. When you're Islam Makhachev, you want to have legacy on your name. So he's trying to paint the picture as to why Kamaru deserves this fight. Kamaru Usman, as we said, has one win in the last 4 years, right? He had a 3-fight losing streak, and prior to this fight, he had not won a fight since 2021. Ian Gary, in the last year, has fought 3 times, including against Shavkat, short notice fight, short notice main event against Carlos Prates, beat him, and then beats the former champion Bilal Muhammad. He has done more in the past year and has won more in the past year and has helped out the UFC more in the past year than Kamaru Usman has in the last 4 years. So the what the F has Ian Gary done is a crazy, crazy comment. Again, I have no problem with him campaigning for his guy, but like, we have to also look at it.
But the controversy doesn't stop there. Many in the MMA community are openly questioning why Usman is even in the conversation when fighters like Benoit Saint-Denis are sitting there with near-perfect records and recent impressive wins. Saint-Denis is holding down the top contender spot with legitimate victories, while Usman is coming off losses and inactivity. Yet somehow, Usman keeps getting mentioned for big fights. The speculation is that his management connections and past drawing power are keeping him relevant in title discussions, despite his recent struggles. It's become a perfect example of how the UFC balances merit versus marketability, and right now, marketability seems to be winning.
Ends up being challenging Islam for this belt first. When ideally do you think Islam fights again?
Islam just fight, honestly. Even the UFC reached out to me, they was asking him to fight a main event June 27. He thought about it.
Is that the White House card?
No, January 28. He thought about it. He's like, no, Habib said, hey.
Who's that again?
Like it honestly, Kamaru's name was in the mix. I can tell you that. Kamaru's name was in the mix for January 28th. Honestly, Ian Gary's name is in the mix too. But at the end of the day, man, the UFC is a business. They're gonna make the biggest fight.
Now let's talk about the interim title situation that's got everyone heated. Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett are set to fight for an interim belt, with the winner facing the real champion later. But here's what's driving people crazy. Arman Tsarukyan is sitting there as the clear #1 contender, and he's been completely passed over. Even Gietich himself has admitted that Sarakian got screwed in this situation. Gietich called Sarakian a problem in the most respectful way possible, acknowledging that the Armenian fighter has earned his shot but got bypassed for business reasons. This is where the UFC's decision-making gets really questionable. Sarakian has been patient. He's worked his way up legitimately. He finished Dan Hooker impressively, and his reward is watching two other guys fight for a fake belt while he sits on the sidelines.
Yeah, like, for me, when I look at it, I'm like, there's no way Ian gets it next. I don't think so. Well, first of all, the least deserving of it is Kamaru Usman. Brother, like, I don't know how they're finagling this shit, like trying to push him into the
cahoots.
Huh?
Between him and Islam?
Yeah,
like mutual friendship. Like,
sure.
let's get
mutual
you paid.
friendship, same manager. Like, I understand what they're trying to do, but that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I personally, obviously, he beat me. I think Morales is the most deserving out of everybody.
He's undefeated.
Undefeated, 19-0, just beat me. I was the #1 contender. Beats me. Number 2 would be, I think Prates is right there. I think he would deserve it more. Shavkat doesn't deserve a title shot.
You got to get back in the race.
The psychology behind this interim title fight is fascinating, and Tony Ferguson broke it down perfectly. Ferguson actually favors Pimblett to beat Gietich, and his reasoning is all about mental state. He thinks Gietich has lost interest in fighting for another interim title because he's been through that disappointment before. Gietich has been chasing an undisputed title shot for years, and the constant delays and interim fights have worn him down emotionally. Ferguson sees this as a huge advantage for Pimblett, who's approaching this with fresh eyes and hunger. Pimblett is getting his first real shot at greatness, while Gietich is carrying the baggage of previous title fight disappointments. That emotional factor could be the deciding element in this fight. Ferguson's basically saying that sometimes the hungrier fighter beats the more experienced one, especially when the veteran is dealing with frustration and disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, sucks to be him, honestly.
Leave it at that.
It is what it is. I mean, no, hey, the kid is a problem. There's no doubt about it. This is a crazy game, and he's going to get his chance. So.
But here's where the Pimblett situation gets really controversial. Arman Tsarukyan didn't hold back his feelings about Paddy getting this opportunity. Tsarukyan openly admits he has zero respect for Pimblett as a fighter and wishes someone else was getting this shot. He even joked about wanting to slap Pimblett if he saw him in person. That's not just trash talk. That's genuine frustration from a fighter who believes he's been passed over for someone with inferior credentials. And Tsarukyan isn't wrong about the credentials. When you look at Pimblett's recent wins, they're against fighters with losing records or guys who were on their way out. Meanwhile, Tsarukyan has been beating legitimate contenders and finishing dangerous opponents.
Who do you think wins that fight?
Patty. Only because Justin doesn't want another interim belt. That fucker, I mean, like, that's just it. You could tell, like, as soon as, like, when we were fighting, like, I prepared for a different guy. Like, I'd be real. And it was like, I wanted to go in there and, like, just, that's not about me anyways. We'll talk about Gaethje and Patty. Patty's not bad, dude. Patty's not bad. He's very beatable, and Gaethje's very beatable as well. But when it goes into the passion and how upsetting Justin Gaethje has always been about not getting that real title shot, and they just keep dangling.
The criticism of Pimblett's title shot has been widespread and brutal. The MMA community has been vocal about this being an undeserved opportunity based more on star power than fighting merit. Pimblett's recent victories came against opponents like Tony Ferguson, who was clearly past his prime, and other fighters who had accumulated multiple losses. Compare that to what Tsarukyan has done finishing Dan Hooker, who is still a dangerous contender and consistently beating ranked opponents. It's become a perfect case study in how the UFC prioritizes entertainment value and marketability over pure fighting credentials. The decision has left many questioning what actually earns you a title shot in today's UFC.
In for a new treat, right? Patty's the one that's never fought for a belt. He's going in there. He's going to be trying to, get that stuff. He's going to feel a little bit more fresher. He's going to have that little bit of excitedness, in my opinion. So if I was going to the book and I was going to try to place the bet, I mean, shit, I would go with the new kid that's going in there and that's going in there for the new opportunity rather than the old kid that fought for the belt, disrespected it, threw it on the fucking ground, and didn't give a shit for it. In my mentality, that's how he's going to be again. It's going to go for Patty, in my opinion. So best of luck for both of them. I'll knock each other the fuck out.
And here's what makes this whole situation even more frustrating for fans and fighters. Islam Makhachev's inactivity has created this entire mess. The lightweight division has essentially been on hold because the champion hasn't been active enough, and now they're creating interim titles to fill the void. With Ilia Topuria dealing with personal issues and unable to compete immediately, the UFC decided they needed content and manufactured this interim situation. But many are asking, why is an interim title even necessary when the real champion could potentially return soon? It feels like the UFC is creating fake drama and fake championships just to keep the division in the news and maintain television programming schedules.
I just really don't feel like there's an argument there.
What do you mean?
Gaethje versus Patty? Okay,
Yeah.
if you had only watched one of those fights and you ask America, you ask the world, you only get to watch.
So what does Arman Tsarukyan actually have to do to get his deserved shot? According to coaches and analysts like Eric Nixick, Tsarukyan has already done everything required. He's waited patiently, worked his way up the rankings legitimately, and delivered impressive finishes against quality opponents. Yet somehow, he's been benched while less deserving fighters get opportunities. Ariel Helwani absolutely destroyed the UFC's decision to make Gaethje versus Pimblett for an interim title, calling it absurd and questioning how such a baffling choice was approved. The criticism has been universal from serious MMA analysts who understand that this decision undermines the credibility of the ranking system and the idea that performance should determine opportunities.
First wife supposedly trying to take 50%. God, dude. I feel so, that sucks. And it's all public, which makes...
But let's step back and look at the bigger picture here. This entire lightweight division chaos represents everything that's wrong with modern UFC matchmaking. You've got legitimate contenders being passed over for business decisions, interim titles being created unnecessarily, and star power trumping actual fighting credentials. McGregor's call-out of Islam might never happen because he's been inactive for years. Usman might get a title shot in a division where he's never fought, purely because of management connections. Pimblett gets an interim title shot despite questionable wins, while Tsarukyan sits on the sidelines after earning his opportunity the right way. This isn't about finding the best fighter anymore. It's about creating content for streaming platforms and satisfying television executives. The question is whether fans will continue accepting this manufactured drama over legitimate sporting competition. What do you think is the UFC prioritizing entertainment over athletic merit? And is that killing the credibility of championship fights? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button if this breakdown opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the scenes. And subscribe for more deep dives into the business and politics that really drive these decisions. Hit that notification bell because this lightweight situation is about to get even messier, and you won't want to miss how this all plays out.
Shit, what I didn't have to do, it wasn't on the public, got to the other side, everything's good, but when you're going through that type of shit, you definitely don't want to be in fight camp.
Is that why he pulled out, or just...
That's why I didn't book a fight. He said, well, there's a person. It's all public, and I guess he was supposedly messaging girls, which is like, you can't say how's going.
The lightweight division drama isn't happening in isolation, though. This is part of a much larger pattern that's been developing across multiple UFC divisions, and understanding this pattern reveals something disturbing about where combat sports entertainment is heading. Look at what happened in the welterweight division recently. Leon Edwards held up the entire division for months while dealing with personal issues, but instead of creating interim titles or finding immediate solutions, the UFC just let contenders sit and wait. Yet in lightweight, they're manufacturing interim titles when the champion might return soon. The inconsistency isn't accidental. It's strategic manipulation based on what serves the company's content needs at any given moment.
Can't be nice to the other species when you're married? I just don't understand. Yeah, no, that sucks. So I do genuinely feel bad for him, and yeah, I mean, all that show. Oh, you got 2 kids. It's like when you add kids to the mix, that's what makes it. That's really what makes it just so hard to deal with. It's unfortunate for him, but yeah, because I really want to see Ely versus Patty. That was the fight I wanted to see. Ely versus Islam is the fight I want to see. Next, Ely versus Patty. We don't get it. That's okay. It's okay.
Here's what nobody's talking about regarding McGregor's Islam call-out. The timeline makes absolutely no sense from a business perspective, and that might be exactly the point. McGregor hasn't fought since his devastating leg break against Dustin Poirier in July 2021. That's over 3 years of complete inactivity, Yet he's calling out the most dominant champion in arguably the most stacked division. But think about this strategically, McGregor doesn't actually need to fight Islam to win this psychological warfare. Every time McGregor mentions Islam's name, he's inserting himself back into title conversation without having to prove anything in the octagon. He's essentially holding the entire division hostage with the mere possibility of his return, and the UFC is allowing it because McGregor's name generates more headlines than actual title fights.
It's the same. He has like a followers or whatever, or his country is big, or I don't know, UFC likes him so much, or he's selling, or what he's doing, I don't know. So he got his title fight because of that.
The Arman Tsarukyan situation reveals something even more sinister about how the UFC operates behind closed doors. Multiple sources close to the situation have indicated that Tsarukyan was actually offered the Islam fight months ago, but turned it down due to a shoulder injury that required surgery. Instead of waiting for him to recover or publicly acknowledging his legitimate claim to the shot, the UFC has quietly moved on and is pretending like he never earned the opportunity. This is how they rewrite history. They offer fights to deserving contenders at inconvenient times, and when injuries or personal issues prevent immediate acceptance, they use that as justification to move on to more marketable options. It's a systematic way of ensuring that business-friendly matchups take priority over sporting merit.
Like, don't hate the player, hate the game, but you hold it personally against Paddy Pimblett.
Yeah, I hate just Paddy. I hate Paddy.
Yeah.
I wish it was Oliveira fighting with Gage or someone different, but not Paddy. I hate that guy.
Will you be at the fight? I imagine you'll go to January 24th. Yeah, you think you'll be there?
I don't want to be there because I'm gonna fight with somebody there. Because if I see Paddy, I would like to slap him. Not slap like slapping Ilya, but real Armenian slap. Maybe this is Spanish slap, like when they put on the neck, that's the slap. I'll show him like a real slap.
But here's where the Geith versus Pimblett interim title fight gets really interesting from a strategic standpoint. Justin Geith has been in this exact position before fighting for interim titles that ultimately meant nothing. He beat Tony Ferguson for an interim belt in 2020, only to lose it to Khabib later that year. Now he's being asked to do it again, and industry insiders are saying he's only taking this fight because he needs the money and exposure. Geith's recent interviews reveal a fighter who's genuinely frustrated with the system, but feels trapped by financial obligations and contract requirements. He knows this interim title is meaningless, but he also knows that refusing it might mean waiting another year or more for any significant opportunity.
Good question. I don't feel that's fair, you know. But we live in a world that is not fair, you know. Giving a title to Paddy Pimblett, a title shot is unbelievable.
Someone that's easy money.
Easy fucking money. And let me tell you something, brother. Who he beat on the division? Michael Chandler coming off 5 losses. Tony Ferguson, 8 losses. Bobby Green coming off 3 losses. And who he beat on the top 15? Nobody. And he still got.
Paddy Pimblett's rapid rise to an interim title shot represents everything that's controversial about modern UFC promotion. His social media following and entertainment value have fast-tracked him past fighters with superior records and more impressive wins. But here's what's really fascinating. Pimblett himself seems uncomfortable with the criticism and has been trying to justify his position by claiming he's always been willing to fight anyone. However, when you examine his actual fight history, he's consistently been matched against favorable opponents or fighters coming off losses. The UFC has carefully protected him while building his brand, and now they're cashing in on that investment with a title shot that most analysts believe he hasn't earned through fighting credentials alone.
This is Topuria fought. This is, you know, when I fought Makhachev, Arman was supposed to fight for the title, and he fucked up the division. That's the truth, you know.
Yeah.
If we had fought that night, the division would keep going. But now we have Topuria going through divorce or something like that. He doesn't want to fight, but it is what it is. They have just engaged versus Paddy Pimblett. To me, this is going to be the paper champ. That, you know, that's not a undisputed champ, and doesn't make any sense to do this interim belt because Topuria will be the champion anyways.
Yeah.
So whoever gets the belt now have to face Topuria for the unification of the belt. So to me personally, doesn't make any sense. The fight should be number one contender. But why UFC did that? Because they solve a lot of problems with that, because Justin Gaethje was saying if he didn't get the title shot, he would retire.
The management politics behind these title shot decisions are more complex and corrupt than most fans realize. Ali Abdelaziz represents both Islam Makhachev and several other top lightweights, which creates inherent conflicts of interest when negotiating who gets title shots and when. Abdelaziz has been accused by other managers of manipulating the UFC's decision-making process by controlling access to the champion and influencing which opponents are considered. Meanwhile, other management companies are pushing their own fighters through different channels, creating a shadow competition that has nothing to do with rankings or performance. The result is that title shots are often determined by which manager has the most influence with UFC executives rather than which fighter has earned the opportunity through their performances.
155 pounds is a guy named Arman Tsarukyan, and he's not involved in this fight. This is a makeshift fight. This is as prestigious as a BMF title. God bless. I said I wanted to see Paddy fight for the belt. God bless. But this is a bogus fight, and it's insane to me that it is headlining over Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. On paper, Paddy vs. Justin is a fine fight to determine the number one contender to fight Ilya and or Arman. Ilya won that belt back in June. I don't even think you need an interim title fight. Honestly, it should have been the co-main event, 5-round, number one contender fight, Ilya versus Arman, second half of the year. What's the problem with that? And now what you just said, because he reiterated this in the Instagram Live, the winner of this fight is going to fight Ilya. What happens to Arman? Arman's going to have to fight who? What is going on?
Ian Gary's frustration with the Usman title shot consideration highlights a generational divide in how fighters view career progression. Gary represents the new generation of fighters who believe that activity and recent wins should be the primary factors in determining title shots. He's fought multiple times per year, taken short-notice fights, and consistently beaten ranked opponents. Yet he's watching older, less active fighters get consideration based on past accomplishments and name recognition. This generational conflict is creating tension throughout the division, with younger fighters feeling like they're being held back by a system that prioritizes established names over current performance.
January, he got hurt. Sue the guy. He sat patiently. He went out there. He steamrolled right through Dan Hooker. He did exactly what he had to do. He did what Khamzat and Islam did not do. He finished his opponent on the ground in dominant, impressive fashion. And now what is he? Now he's just floating in the wind. And he's not even next, apparently. Now, of course, everything can change. Nothing really means anything. They make up the rules as they go along. But to put Justin and Paddy in the interim title shot slot and then have the winner of that fight Ilya is insane to me. And worse than that, because we have seen interim title fights that have felt a little fugazi. I cannot believe that they are headlining this.
The international politics surrounding the lightweight division add another layer of complexity that affects matchmaking decisions. Islam Makhachev represents Dagestan and carries the legacy of Khabib's dominance, making him a valuable asset for the UFC's expansion into Muslim markets and Eastern European territories. McGregor represents Ireland and has massive drawing power in Western markets. The UFC is trying to balance these different audience segments while creating storylines that appeal to both demographics. This international marketing consideration often overrides pure sporting merit when determining who gets title shots and how fights are promoted. Colby Covington's endorsement of his own title shot worthiness, while simultaneously praising Usman, reveals the psychological complexity of fighter relationships in the modern UFC. Covington knows that appearing bitter or entitled could hurt his chances, so he's playing a sophisticated public relations game. He's positioning himself as reasonable and respectful while subtly undermining other contenders' claims. This kind of strategic self-promotion has become essential for fighters who want to influence UFC matchmaking decisions. It's not enough to win fights anymore. Fighters must also master media manipulation and public perception management to secure the opportunities they believe they've earned. The Paramount streaming platform debut that Islam was offered represents a seismic shift in how the UFC approaches major fights. Traditional pay-per-view metrics are becoming less important than streaming platform launches and television ratings. This means that fights are now being designed primarily to serve corporate partnership obligations rather than sporting logic. The UFC's willingness to offer Usman or Gary as opponents for this debut shows they're prioritizing marketability and mainstream appeal over divisional rankings. This corporate influence on matchmaking is only going to increase as the UFC signs more streaming deals and platform partnerships. Tony Ferguson's psychological analysis of the Gieth versus Pimblett fight reveals something crucial about how mental state affects championship-level competition. Ferguson believes that Gieth's repeated disappointments with interim titles and delayed shots have created emotional baggage that could affect his performance. This psychological warfare aspect of title fights is often overlooked, but it's becoming increasingly important as fighters deal with longer careers and more complex promotional obligations. The mental game isn't just about confidence anymore. It's about managing frustration with the system itself while still performing at an elite level. What makes this entire situation more frustrating is that the lightweight division is arguably the most talented it's ever been. Yet the title picture is completely muddled by business considerations. You have legitimate contenders like Tsarakian, rising stars like Gary, veterans like Gieth, and wild cards like Pimblett all mixed together in a system that doesn't reward the right things. Meanwhile, the actual champion is dealing with his own career decisions, while former champions like McGregor manipulate the narrative from the sidelines. The result is that fans are getting manufactured drama instead of the organic competition that made this division legendary in the first place. The solution to this mess isn't complicated, but it would require the UFC to prioritize sporting integrity over short-term business interests. Clear ranking systems, consistent title shot criteria, and transparent matchmaking processes could restore credibility to championship fights. But that would mean giving up the flexibility to create whatever matchups serve their immediate promotional needs. The question is whether the long-term damage to the sport's credibility is worth the short-term business benefits of manufactured storylines and marketability-based matchmaking. Based on current trends, the UFC seems willing to accept that trade-off, which means fans should expect more of this chaos rather than less. The lightweight division's current problems aren't an aberration. They're a preview of how championship fights will be determined across all divisions as entertainment value continues to trump athletic merit in the modern UFC landscape.